We got a lot of news to cover in today's video. Jared Goff going to Netflix. That's awesome. Can't wait to talk about that. Good news there. The Lions did a couple of re-signings. Mel Kiper Jr. gives his thoughts, who he thinks the Lions going to select with the 28th pick. Same with Daniel Jeremiah. It's all about the latest news and rumors. Let's get it started. Do me a favor and smash that like button. Let's get to 300 likes in this video. It's really easy to do so. It's free, and it does push the content out there. I appreciate it. Let's start with the first news here, and that is the Lions of re-signing of Pat O'Connor. You know, he's well-loved, and former defensive lines coach said this about him. The guy loves him. I love him, former defensive line coach Gerald Williams said. I mean, he works his butt off. He does a good job in special teams, but he's more than anything the position flexibility. Like, he could play nose tackle. He can play edge. He can play linebacker. That's not even on there. I'm just telling you, that's what we saw him do. Force fumbles, recovery. With the injuries, he did a good job for Detroit. Williams is gone now, but he has been replaced by Casey Rogers, who is more than familiar with O'Connor's game. Rogers is O'Connor's position coach from 2019 to 2023. O'Connor is the latest of several defensive linemen to re-sign with Detroit, including Marcus Davenport, Mitchell Agude, Miles Adams, and Levi Onwuzurike. I think this is a good re-signing. I have no problem with bringing him back. We're waiting for the edge, right? And I think at this point, we're just going to wait for the draft for the impact edge. This is a depth signing, and he did good for the Lions as a depth player, so I'm never going to get upset about depth. Same with re-sign Mitchell Agude. I don't even know if he makes it. Like, he's the 53-man roster. He's going to fight it out in training camp. Nothing wrong with that. Depth, depth, depth. That's what free agency is about. We're looking for the guy opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. It hasn't happened yet. It's looking more and more. They're going to focus that on the draft. But grade the re-signing of Pat O'Connor. A, B, C, D, or F. Give me your thoughts in the comments right now. Let's get some really cool news. Jared Goff is going to Netflix, and we all get to watch it. Netflix is bringing back quarterback for a second season, and this time it will be a must-watch for Detroit Lions fans. Quarterback Jared Goff is one of 3 players who 2024 seasons will be featured. This show provides behind-the-scenes looks in both the personal and professional lives of its stars. Yes, yes, and more yes. This is great news, and I am excited to watch Jared Goff on Netflix. We're going to be hearing about, the chants, the personal lives. It's going to be fun to watch. And what makes me really excited is gives us Lions content now to watch going forward. And that is fun for me because I can't wait to watch more Jared Goff stuff, right? And watch Detroit Lions because this offseason is slow. And it is a really good series. It really is a good series. And so if you're planning to be bored, I suggest watch Netflix, and we get to see what Jared Goff is going to be bringing to the table on that. So I'm super excited to watch this, see things maybe that we haven't seen yet, and it's going to be entertaining. You had St. Brown on wide receivers. Now you're getting Jared Goff on quarterbacks. The Detroit Lions is a team, a franchise. Goff himself is a popular player, and it's going to be must-watch if you ask me. And, hey, you're watching this video, and I think it's going to be epic. Let's do a transition now to mock drafts, and we're going to start with Daniel Jeremiah, who he believes the Detroit Lions are going to select with their first pick, and he's going with a pass rusher, Mykel Williams. He says Williams is another player with a wide range of potential destinations. The production has trailed the athleticism, but there is a ton of upside here. Now, that's the problem with this player, right? He has massive upside, 34-inch arm, 6'5", 260, perfect size for what the Lions are looking for, right? He's fast, super athletic monster of a beast, right? Got a lot of positives to him, but this is what you want to see a little bit more of, those sacks. You know, if you're investing a high-end draft pick, you want to see more than 5 sacks from his college last year. 15 solo tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. He is an interesting player to watch throughout this draft, where he's going to land. You know, he is the size. I don't know about the production, though. We'll see. Here's his strengths and weaknesses. Strengths, he is rare power at the point of attack. Very strong. I mean, that's what he does, right? He brings scheme versatility. He can play all over the defensive line. Natural leverage as a player. We're like, this is his natural instincts, his body. Recognition of skill in the run game. It is a positive. The Lions love to have a pass rusher who can stop the run while getting to the quarterback. He does have a nasty bull rush, and it can collapse the pocket. Needs to get to the quarterback a little bit more, but he does have an elite motor. He never quits. Again, another Dan Campbell type of trait. Before we jump into the weaknesses, question for you. Should the Detroit Lions draft Mykel Williams? D for draft, P for pass. Let's go to the weaknesses right now. He can be a tick late off the snap. That's not good. We try and get going against veterans, so he's going to need a little development there. He development diverse pass rush arsenal. That's something. It is a weakness. He can develop as a pro, so it's not the biggest thing in the world. I mean, hell, Aiden Hutchinson had the same thing. Occasionally plays too high in his stance. Again, that's something that can be worked out, can be coached out. Inconsistent with hard placement. Recognizes and reacts to pulling the guards. That's something that he's got to work on and get better at, because if you can't do that, you're not going to beat the guards. You're not going to beat the linemen. And again, that's where the 5 sacks comes from. You know, when you're talking about Williams, we're looking at a player who has a lot of upside, but we've yet to see the production that you would like to see. And that's something that, you know, clearly we need to get better of, right? And so I don't know about him. The production is not there. I'm a little bit skeptic of that, but hey, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and jump into Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft, and he's going with a different player right here. He's talking about James Pearce Jr. from Tennessee. This is Pearce had just 7.5 sacks in 2024, but his 19% pressure rate was second in FBS. He keeps offensive tackles guessing with his burst and strength. Yeah, 7.5 sacks. Again, you want to see more production there, but he's got 23 solo tackles, 13 tackle for loss, of course, 7.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. That's the problem. The Lions right now, you're sitting at 28. Is you're gonna have, there's a lot of quality pass rushers out there, and there's a lot of good names. You got to be a little bit worried of what potentially could be left sitting at 28. That's why the Lions could go right into a different direction if pass rushers that they don't like are gone. But here's the strengths of Mr. James Pearce. He displays elite first step, explosion. That is good, right? We need to have that first step. He needs to get in there quickly. He possesses remarkable bend. It's hard to teach. He's got great hand usage. And a lot of people don't talk about this, but defensive line, you got to have great hand usage. It's how you win at the line of scrimmage. Exhibits excellent spatial awareness. Brings devastating closing speed. If you can hit that quarterback that'd be great. Flashes impressive change of direction. That's hard. That's something that you really can't teach, is the change of direction. Other things you can teach, that's positive for him. Currently lacks ideal plays and shows some inconsistency in maintaining leverage. Got to get better there with the leverage. It's difficult as a rook, and that's why we always look to get veterans as well, but that's something you can be teach. Can't get too focused on rushing. That's something that I don't know if the Lions are going to like to get, right? They want to get a guy who can actually stop the run. He's got great devastating and closing speed. Good thing. More liable counter moves. Again, that's something that can be taught. I'm not too big on that. Here's another problem. He's a smaller guy, 245 pounds. I don't see the Lions going this direction. for James Pearce. They like the bigger pass rushers. We're talking the 260s to 265s, even even a little bit higher than that. I don't care about his arm length, a little bit small at 32. That's something that I don't care. Aiden Hutchinson's got smaller hands, but I don't know. It's hard to tell what the line's going to do with that one, right? I got a question for you, though. Would you draft James Pearce Jr., D for draft or P for pass? Give me your thoughts in the comments on this one. You know, I look at these players, and it's questionable, right? I would like to have a pass rusher, but there is question marks. Again, I trust Brad Holmes. If he does select one of these, Mykel Williams or James Pearce or a question-marked player, I trust his ability, especially in the draft. He knows what he's doing in the draft. We could talk about free agency, and there's been some issues there. But generally speaking, the man is a masterful of the draft. And so whoever they select, I'm going to be on the side of. He's not perfect. Broderick Martin hasn't done what we expected, right? There's been some players. Hendon Hooker, he's just a backup. But my God, he's really good in the draft, in all honesty. And last year's draft, everyone said, oh, it's not the greatest. It was a lot of Giovanni Manu is going to be developed into a tackle, right? And that it's hard to find a really good tackle in the draft, so they developed one, and they're going to let him sit back for a little bit. I don't have a problem with that. Sione Vaki, special teams player in development. I got no problem with develop. I think the first 2 picks, the first 3 picks, you're probably going to get a lot of production out of this year. But the Lions are fine in the draft. I'm not concerned at all in his ability. He's getting depth now in free agency, and I still want. Maybe we get Trey Henderson, right? That would be great, but we're going to go into this draft, and we're going to get some special players, and I'm confident about that one. So give me your thoughts on the latest news. With that said, folks, adios.